And really, the name of the game for me is Fields. He really is evolving in real time. You just see the progress from week to week. And again, there's always hiccups. Guys are going to throw picks, have fumbles. That's the name of the game when you're playing with a young quarterback like this who has this kind of talent and trying to figure out that offense. But as opposed to years before, right here, he's already scrambling or he's launching the ball maybe into double coverage. And in this play, he's just going to take the check down. You see backs returns in the white. Don't worry, the film's not going to be like this. It didn't snow the entire game. But the Atlanta defense is with the backs turned to the check down, man, just takes the check down, and the check down will give you 15, 20 yards. And this is what we've seen in the last couple of weeks from a lot of different teams is guys are running some deeper developing routes, and then taking the check down off the tape, off the 5-step and getting 20, 25 yards. This run threat is a game changer. I'm going to show you a couple different ways they use it. So you're in the pistol here, and they're going to freeze frame that defensive end. You see that defensive end is staying square to the line of scrimmage. Okay, he's done everything right as far as they should be handing this ball to Khalil Herbert. All right, and Khalil Herbert, now they're going to have to deal with the Jesse Bates coming down. You see the tackle left guard having to go rise up to the second level. Are they going to go backside to the linebacker? Are they going to let Jesse Bates come down and try to make that tackle? But that play is there. And because the squareness of that defensive end, that's telling Justin Fields, hey, just hand this ball off. But he makes the read right because he's so athletic. He just takes off, gets around the corner, and gets 5 yards. So even though the defensive end has leverage, even though he squares up to the line of scrimmage, the athleticism of the quarterback puts that defensive end in a situation where you might as well be as definitive as possible and plan for not even making this a read, making this a have to every single time, because athletically, I don't know if you can keep up. Really good disguise here, my opinion. They run the return motion with the inside slot receiver. And then all they do is just run quarterback lead. So they use their offset running back as a fullback. They lead on the play side linebacker, Justin Fields, down the sideline. I'm going to show you this from the end zone. And this just turns into QB lead. So this is just, your blast look with the quarterback holding the football. And this is the ability they have. A lot of guys early in their career, you see some of these running quarterbacks, quote unquote running quarterbacks, run this and they stop doing it because they're worried about him getting hurt. They don't want to put him like between the tackles. Justin Fields is very, very unique. He's a big human, and he's just super, super athletic. So you see 23 now is just going to lead up on the play side linebacker. He actually doesn't end up getting there, but the linebacker is so confused because his initial thought process, because they did the return motion with the slot receiver, he's thinking pass. And then as soon as he sees they didn't hand it to the running back, he's reading his triangle through to the running back. Running back doesn't get the football. He's dropping back. All of a sudden, Herbert's taken off, and that half step is all Justin Fields needed, That half step back from that linebacker is all he needed to run around, capture the edge, make the play at the goal line. These guys are number 6 in the National Football League, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. And this option game is a large part of it. Because that pistol look holds these guys in place. And Khalil Herbert is a really good player. That linebacker's got him dead to rights. I think our center here, our former Packer, gets a little bit of a hold, gets away with it. But these guys do a really good job of finishing their blocks as well as they can. This isn't the most physical offensive line in the world except for 58. But they do a really good job with their fullback. They do a really good job with their option looks of creating threats to the scheme of the defense. And that threat is what breaks you down. So we got under center. This is just traditional, eye left. Tight ends hipped off on the tackle. And they're just going to run the toss. But because of Justin Fields' ability to run the keeper here, the fake toss keeper, look at where that defensive end is. Instead of crashing down on a toss play. This isn't a handoff. This was a toss play. Instead of crashing down, you see what the backside 58, the right tackle, Darnell Wright, has done to the backside defensive tackle and linebacker. And that, I think that's Bud Dupree, that outside linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons is, what is that, 10 yards away from that tackle. So the space that's created because Justin Fields has the ability to keep this just gives them huge running lanes. Now you see on the other side, we're coming downhill. They're running right at Justin Fields at the mesh. And because they did that, he hands off to Herbert. And we'll go back and show you the problem lies not only with the defensive end, but that linebacker doesn't know what to do. That linebacker who's playing over the left guard right now, 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, they released the tight end to take care of the safety. I think that's Bates. And now they're trying to read out how this play is going to go. And he gets a little bit caught up on the wash. And look at the lane. Now you're playing tag with Khalil Herbert versus your middle linebacker. Like, that's a winning formula for the Chicago Bears every time. And it's all because the threat of the run is so severe in Chicago right now. I mean, they had a handful of huge running plays this week against Atlanta. You got one more here. So you got Cole Kmet lined up on the line of scrimmage. You have a 2 tight end list. This is 12 personnel. They're in pistol again. And I would expect to see a lot of this from the Packers standpoint. So now just the same thing. We're looking at the read. And what does Dupree do? He turns his chest to the sideline. So what read is he making? That hesitation with the tight end release is a little bit of stutter. He comes down and tries to box this out to make sure that Justin Fields can't get outside, but he doesn't make a definitive play, and they're out the back gate with Herbert, and he's one-on-one with the safety, and it happens just like that. So my point is, from the Packers game plan, are we gonna read this? Are we just gonna tackle the running back every time and have, is the safety coming down? Is he responsible? Would we have to play, a cover 2 look on the outside so our corner can be more involved in the run game? Like, how do you deal with the fact that if you hesitate at all, one of these guys is out the gate? Herbert's fun to watch. I know he's not on the other team, but he's a fun player to watch. Little play action pass awareness. They're doing a good job. Let me get back here. The quarterback of your defense is the linebacker position, that second level linebacker position. And because of injury, because of inexperience, we've talked about that position a lot this week, this year, from the Green Bay Packers standpoint. And it's, again, really going to be tested because of the eye discipline you have to have, because of the running threat of Justin Fields, and because of all the action that goes on in the backfield. Now, it's not like this is a great motion team. This isn't the Miami Dolphins by any means. But because you're so supremely aware of the fact he can trigger at any time and take off. When they're running their under center play action, when they're running their pistol play action, you have to be aware immediately as a linebacker. If you get sucked up, you have to turn, run, and you have to find that crosser, because they will feast on Cole Kmet coming across right behind you. He's running at the 28-yard line here, catches the ball. And that linebacker is just completely unaware because he's got eyes in the backfield instead of making his reads. And that is absolutely mission critical this week. And that's something that Quay and McDuffie, or Quay and whoever is playing is going to have to be really aware of. This guy, this is a losing block because the dude's not playing around now. This is going to be a physical matchup. This is what this kid was known for in college. And he just absolutely dump trucks this dude to the point where it becomes a problem for the fullback and kind of car crashes the whole operation here. But I mean, you want to talk about just dominating a guy physically. This kid's all about it. I like watching him play. I think he brings that element of physicality to their team. One thing that Justin Fields is doing a lot better is we talk about pre-snap recognition, pre-snap identification. So he's deciding right now they're going to run a little bit of a switch release and run, I think this is DJ Moore in the slot, and they're going to end up kind of running a scissors concept And right now, on the trips look, Justin Fields knows where he's going with this ball. And I think that's one of the things that Getsy's probably doing really well with him is saying, let's make these pre-snaps really obvious so there's one read and you can just be an athlete and let it rip. And you see they're playing a little bit of man with single safety high. And as soon as they do that, listen, they have receivers that can win one-on-one matchups now if you're going to play up on them. And DJ Moore makes plays. He's always made plays. You got under center. You look at the play action look. He keeps the ball running to his left. Now think about, just as a comparison, think about how many times, even last week, you saw Jordan Love miss the touchdown pass on the rollout to the left, right? Floating the ball. Look at the rocket. First of all, look at the way that Fields gets his hips turned around and just throws an absolute dart to this tight end who actually sits down in the zone, something that our opponent last week, 35 had a pick on it because he didn't sit down in the zone, talking about the tight end for the other team. But they sit down in the zone and he just fires an absolute dart across the field on a 18-yard rope. So he can make any throw. They can roll out either way. Like, you're not safe. You have to cover every blade of grass on the field if you want to have success against this team. They like to switch release more. This is the second one I've shown. When I say switch release, it's just one starts inside, the other starts outside, and they end up being the exact opposite. So they run the switch here. And when you run the switch, it's always going to be one guy goes vertical, one guy's going to in cut, or one guy goes inside, one guy's going to go outside. Like, football is just geometry. It's not that difficult to understand what's happening. But if you run that vertical route with a switch release, you get inside leverage on that outside cornerback. You suck in that safety that you see down on the bottom of the C here almost on the 50-yard line. All of a sudden, you've got a ton of space in the middle, and he's hitting these throws now. And it's a little bit scary that he's hitting these throws 20, 25 yards down the field, because now it's like you start thinking, what can't this guy do? What do we know that he's not capable of? And if he's hitting these kind of throws, the answer is not much. You got to get him off rhythm. You can't sit back here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, good pocket, clean pocket, and throw to some shallow cross looks. He throws in rhythm, and again, DJ Moore's good not only before the catch, getting open, but he's really good after the catch as well. These guys are getting yards. You put him against linebackers in zone situations where he can run away from guys, you got problems. And this is just let the tape run, guys. I mean, what are we doing here? You don't see that kind of feat of athleticism too often, right? He kind of, I was trying to think of, I played against Dante Culpepper in Minnesota, and Dante was probably 20, 30 pounds bigger than him. But that idea of like a defensive end, I just remember very specifically like Kabir or one of these smaller defensive ends trying to block or trying to tackle him. And he's like, dude, I outweigh you by 40 pounds. Like, he was so strong. And that reminded me of it a little bit. And the thing that this guy does, man, he makes chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, look at this. I mean, what are we doing? This is Keystone Cops. This is absolutely Keystone Cops. And somehow he turns this into a 15-yard gain and does not slide.